Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom, the why, what, and how. We're on section 3 of my book, The How, and I'm jumping ahead to the very last section, last chapter of this, where I talk about a lot of project-based learning. And I just had a really great project that came to fruition, and it's fresh in my mind, so I'm going to talk about it right now. So I had to explain it to my colleagues. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. And if you want to help me come up with my crazy ideas, please talk to me at the Minecraft Education Ambassadors or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, the Duolingo Educators Network, or Roxem, or at studio-nemo.com. I woke up in the middle of the night several months ago, and I had this vision of how funny it would be if my students got all dressed up and they were sitting in the middle of math class, and all their friends in math class were asking them, "Why are you all dressed up?" And they said, "Because we have a quinceañera today." And I was like, yes, let's do that project. So I wrote this big book. This is my Glad style big book about La Quinceañera. And we talked about, let me make sure I'm in the right thing so I can move my picture around. We looked at all these pictures so the students could kind of try and figure out what goes on a quinceañera. And they were able to say vestido, and they were able to say bonito. And my students are only Español uno. All right. So this was like a big deal for me to get them to do this all in Español, no English. They were able to identify that the girl is 15 years old. And then we talked about what the important things we needed. Okay, we need invitations. So I taught my students how to write invitations. We talked about, the screen is slightly off here. We just had our winter dance, and I was telling the students, hey, you guys, you spent lots of money on your clothing. You could wear it twice, not just one time. We chose music, and we mostly went to Roxem for this because it's easy to find all the music we want in one place there. Listen to the lyrics. Somehow I taught them how to waltz and also how to mambo, and I am recovering from a broken leg, and it was some days kind of painful for me, but somehow we did it. We looked at a lot of recipes. Now, I start all my class with 5 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes of free voluntary reading, FVR, that some people call silent sustained reading, SSR, but it's the same thing. And for a couple of weeks, we only read recipes in Espanol, and we only talked about recipes. So they learned all those words. And we talked about other decorations we were going to need to do. We needed los globos, we needed el papel picado, which I'll talk about in a moment. And so we were all ready to decorate. And then we talked about la entrada, big deal, some grandiose entrance that you make. All right, and I apologize to all these people whose pictures I took, but they're all published on the internet, so by golly, I can show them to my students. All right, so I asked my students, do you think we can do all this stuff? Can we write invitations? Can we wear pretty clothes? Can we choose the music? Can we learn the waltz? Can we cook some kind of sweets? Can we decorate? And I was thinking we'd have it in the classroom. And can we have a grand entrance? But we didn't have to have it in the classroom because our wonderful librarian got on board with us. And she let us decorate the library. So special thanks to Leanna, our amazing librarian. And we just totally decked out the library. And we took it over. And I'm sorry for all the English classes that wanted to come in, that couldn't come in that yesterday because it was just amazing. So I went over again. We'd already learned how to make papel picado for El Dia de los Muertos, but we went over it again. I've got an embedded reading I made where I put the instructions down. And then I do, when I do direct method instruction, I make sure that I have props in my hands or that I can doodle on the board or whatever. So I could say, okay, la mitad. I showed them right here what la mitad was. I'd put this here, la mitad, and then vuelve they didn't recognize, but I knew they knew the word volver, because they know their top 50 verbs. And then I demonstrated, that you could fold it. You can fold it diagonally if you want. Tengas, they don't know the command form of tener, but they do know tienes, so they recognize that. So did the whole thing in Spanish, no English. And then they made their papel picado. It's kind of my instructions that my explanation that I just gave to my colleagues. So that's what's going on here. We wrote invitations, and I told everybody that they could invite 2 friends who were not in the class. And we have this kind of, it's an iPad thing. It's got Smart Pass, so if the students want to go to the bathroom, they have to get up, they have to punch in their code in the Smart Pass, and they have to say, I'm going to the bathroom, or I'm going to the nurse's office, or I'm going to the library, and then it kind of times them. And my assistant principal was so nice. She gave us a little button only for the day that was just for Quinceañera, so we could see which students were going to the Quinceañera. Plus, they had to turn in their invitation to me. And our vice principal also had the homecoming arch brought upstairs to the library, so we decked it out, and the students made their entrada, their grandiose entrance under this, and we all applauded for them as they came in. The students totally went to town, and it was great. This student made a cardboard horse, and he rode under the arches in it, and we all applauded him. My absolute favorite moment of yesterday, though, was I have a student she's just difficult to engage, okay? I mean, half the time, like maybe once every 2 days, I've got to go over to her and quietly poke her in the shoulder and say, put the phone away, because she's got her cell phone out, She's just very hard to engage, and she's always late to class. And sure enough, she came late yesterday, and everyone else was dancing and having fun and everything. And she came up to me and she said, I haven't done la entrada yet. And I'm like, okay, let's go do it. And so to me, that's like huge success. I engaged the student who wasn't engaged. So I'm so happy about that. Everybody got all dressed up. It was really nice. They danced. They danced. It was wonderful. It was just great. We did the mambo. We did el vals. It was so much fun. They'd studied their recipes in Espanol and put them out, of course. The student bought cookies, but I'm like, if you can explain to me, if you could talk about the cookies in Espanol, I'm going to count it. And she did. It was great. The cake. Okay, so I always try to model for my students. There's going to be times in life when bad things happen. You've got to have flexibility, and you've got to show your students how to bounce back. So the cake started falling. I grabbed it. I saved it. It wasn't completely ruined, but I had to take a little selfie of my hand just to immortalize that forever. And then the other funny thing that happened was Thursday night, I got home and my daughter had made brownies, knowing that I got the broken leg and I've been on my feet all day, and it's going to be hard for me to make brownies and cookies when I get home. And so she made brownies for me, but she'd accidentally grabbed the garlic infused olive oil, and so they were terrible. But I wrote a little explanation in Espanol, and if my students couldn't read the explanation, that was on them. That was their own fault if they didn't like the brownies. Okay? So anyway, it was great. It was project-based learning at its finest. I'm so proud of my Espanol Uno. They're just first year, and they pulled it off. They were able to do it, and I really feel like they learned a lot of culture and a ton of vocabulary, and I'm so proud of them. It was great. If you want to help me come up with more crazy ideas like this, come see me in the Minecraft Education Ambassadors, the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, Duolingo Educators Network, RoxM, or at studio-nemo.com. Hope to see you on the next one.